Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Terror, Season 1, Episode 9. It is called The Sea, the Open Sea. And those are all with the letter C, not the word C. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And, this show keeps finding a way to get bleaker and bleaker, and just a
Yeah,
little bit bleaker as we go.
no, it's true. I mean, it makes sense. The situation's getting worse and worse as they go on.
It
Running out of
is.
food, running out of people.
Is, although Blank is a bit of a legend for how he decides to go out ultimately. He wants to use, because they realise the monster's following, because they're marching south. They're on foot. They're moving both the main camp and also Hickey's camp. And they grabbed Good Sir, which made me feel really uneasy as soon as I found that out. I'm like, oh god, poor Good
Yeah.
Sir, being stuck with them. That is not a good thing. But they realise the monster's kind of like tracking them, and Blanky's like, you know what, I'm going to lure it out to the shore and see what I can do. And
Cover me in forks.
yeah, he basically gets rope and covers himself in forks so that when the monster's going to eat him, he'll stab himself silly on forks.
It's the hedgehog route.
See, if you told me like before this episode that was going to be a plan, I would have said, don't be ridiculous. It's not a cartoon.
But they went for it. You see him all sat there covered in forks.
I also love that he found the Northwest Passage. He's like, oh, there it is.
Typical.
And he wrote it on his map, but all I could think was, yeah, but if anyone finds that map, they're going to be there anyway.
It could blow. There could be a wind that could, whip it across.
To where?
Anywhere. Somewhere else. Somewhere where someone can find it that's not there.
In the water, where it's just going to get torn to shreds by various rocks and fish.
Oh, look, it might get blown the other direction. I'm not saying it's useful. I'm saying that it could be somewhere else.
I'm just saying, your confidence that a piece of paper can survive the journey that would have to be made to actually hit any group of civilization is
Look, I'm saying I
baffling
have
to me.
confidence that a piece of paper will be blown a million miles on the wind. I've seen it far too many times.
A million miles. You've tracked
Yeah,
a piece of
yeah,
paper
yeah, I
over a
have.
million miles.
You know it.
Uh huh. Sure. So, all right. Let's talk about cannibals then. I think that's the big thing of the episode,
I mean,
right?
sure, jump right in.
Yeah. We see Hickey, and he sort of ropes one of the lieutenants just kind of like been stranded into his group, and they're wanting food, and they've clearly ate the dog. Well, that's clearly already happened, and Hickey keeps justifying it, and basically they one of them's sick, specifically the one that Hickey had a relationship with, and he is sick, and Good Sir's like sort of analysing him, and he's like, hey, like this is
Nothing
not good. Yeah, he's gonna die. And Hickey's like, well, it'd be good to help tomorrow, carry things, and be useful. He's like, no, I'd be shocked if he was. And then, as like Goodsaw's still with them, you just see Hickey go to another tent and come out with a knife, and you know exactly where this is going. Well, he's dead weight now, so time to
No
kill him.
point. Yeah.
And he kills him right there. And Goodsir, of course, is shocked and appalled, and he tries to pull him off, but it's futile. And ultimately, it's very clear what Hickey wants to do with them. He wants to eat them. He's like, okay, this is something we can all eat. Here's a man, and he comes to Good Sir, and he's like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, why do you need me to do it? You've
You killed him. You butcher him.
yeah. And he's like, yeah, but we don't know which parts are safe to eat and so on. He's like, yeah, I'm sure you do, Hickey. I'm sure
I
you do.
love it. He goes, no. I recognize your accent now that it's slipped. You're poor. Your family did whatever they had to do. They'd use every bit of meat on an animal. You know exactly what's good to use.
Yeah, and of course he ends up threatening the lieutenant to make him do it. He's like, I'm going to stab him if you don't. This is basically it. And he eventually just agrees to do it, and he looks so soul destroyed. And there's some time passing here as well, because like Good Sir's got a full beard now. It's not just the what he had before, the mutton chops.
No, it's true. Which is interesting because we don't really. Correct me, I don't remember a timestamp coming up.
I don't think so. I think they just showed it in the in the facial hair.
Yeah,
And,
but I thought it was interesting because most of the time we have had it gone. Okay, this many months, or at least tell us what month we're in.
yeah.
This didn't, but it, like I say, it shows us that time has passed. It's a very different approach to what it's been doing, though.
I wonder if it wants it to be more murky, because we know that Sir John's wife is sending out a rescue party.
Yeah, speaking of,
Uh huh.
I'm really not feeling the stuff back at home.
Well, luckily for you, there's only 2 scenes of it, and
There is, but it feels so distracting. I guess. Like, yeah, like I'm in with all these people that it's so bleak. There's so much desperation, and then I'm seeing them back at home debating and going, "Oh yeah, let's send some out." All this stuff. I'm like, it's not jiving for me.
that's fair. That's fair. And then the scene at the end, of course, harkens back to when Sir John's wife said she went out in her bare feet in the snow to see how it felt.
Yeah.
The Frances's, bride to be multiple times, or that's not even true because she always said no. But you know what I meant.
Yes.
We see her do the same thing where she goes out in the snow and puts her bare feet on the snow to see how it feels.
And that's the thing. I get it. I understand in context because okay, this was set up as a thing that we have talked about before. But I don't know how much it's adding to the episode. I don't know how much it's accomplishing. For me, just being with the group of men and being left in the dark as to what's happening at home, I think is more effective because they don't know. It feels weird to have this knowledge that they don't.
Well, it depends because I feel like if it was more 50-50, that'd be an invalid complaint because clearly half of the show would be okay, the fear over where they are from the home.
Right, but it's because there's there's a scene every 2 or 3 episodes. We get a couple, we get a little bit here, a
It's
little
not
bit
been
there.
a lot. There was obviously there was a couple of the flashbacks early on, but that had our men in it because they were flashbacks.
Yeah,
Yeah, but in terms of what there's been of like without them but back at home, it's only been 2 episodes. It's this one and one like 3 or 4 ago where we saw the one
Right.
scene of her begging for a search party.
right. So to me, because there's so little, I feel like it's just taking away from the horror of what's going on. Like their blind hope that no, someone is coming for us. That works way better for me without actually seeing them sending someone.
Yeah, no, maybe. It doesn't bother me as much as you, but I see why you're saying it.
Yeah, I mean it's it's a couple of scenes here or there. It's not the end of the world, but I don't know. I don't like them.
But anyway, you went us on a tangent there because
I
we're
did.
back to Good Sir, who does cut up the body, brings them out to the cook, but does not join them to actually eat them. We see them all eating various bits of meat. I'll be honest, it didn't look as cooked as I thought. Like I feel like human meat, cook it. Some of it looked very raw to me. Like you're just making it harder yourself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Interesting though is that all of them, even though they all agreed to do this and they're all kind of wanting it because they need to eat, they're hungry, but they all they're kind of like they're eating it, but they're not like they're very hesitant. They're very like okay, this is like I feel icky for
Yeah.
doing this,
But that's it. You've done one now.
but it gets to hickey. Is the point I'm making though? Is it goes through each of them and they're all like kind of struggling and it's all very kind of uncomfortable. It gets to hickey and he looks like he's just chomping on a bit of steak. He's happy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
In some ways, I can understand it. Not that he made Good Sir do it, but the fact that okay, this man is dead, right? Let's eat him. I can understand that in the situation.
the point though is they didn't wait for him to die. He just stabbed him there and then.
Yeah, I get it. And even that, I can kind of justify in a roundabout way. I can be like, okay, you haven't got enough men to drag him and carry him. He's not going to survive. Maybe it's a mercy just to kill him rather than leave him to freeze. Right? You can kind of talk it into it. It's when he just won't do it himself, though. That's the line where he's like, "No, Good Sir, you have to do it. You have to cut this up." Where he won't take it into his own. He's not willing to cut him up himself. That's the point where it becomes inexcusable, I think. Nah.
Like, there's so many jokes I can make about you looking like Hickey and having the same moral code as Hickey, but
I'm just saying there's survival to be considered. I can understand. I'm not saying he made the right choice. I'm saying I can understand why someone would think these things. It's when it's when he's not willing to follow through on it that it actually loses it. It's when he's He's willing to kill the man, but he's not willing to butcher him, and he's making other people complicit in what he's doing. That's where it becomes.
That's
really
always been his thing, is making other people
Yeah.
complicit in whatever he's doing.
It is, yeah.
He had other people involved with the getting Lady Silence. We got them lashed. He's had all these other people involved in this. He talks them into it so that they're also at fault, so that it's not just him taking the blame later on.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a way of spreading it out a little bit. So also I like that Francis knows that Goodsir would never have went willingly. He's like, nah, there's no way he chose to go with that group.
Yeah.
He's not even that vindictive. He's like, even the other men who did chose, they chose out of fear. So all the supplies we can't carry with us as we walk, we'll leave them in a pile. We won't damage them. We won't destroy them. We'll leave them, and we'll let them know that no, we left them there to be found. Should the good,
an offering.
yes, the good members of his party, should they see this, they cannot mistake this, that this was kindness. So so that's very interesting. And of course, it all kind of boils up because they're debating, like, we've seen war, right? It looks like the ice is starting to break. It's actually much easier to go back to the ship and try and sail through now, perhaps. And it's Solomon who's like trying to like convince him of this, and Hickey goes and stands on a rock and thinks about it some. But he says, "Oh, did you get like the message through to someone?" I'm like, "Oh God, they've got a mole in the main camp. Oh no, this is bad." And sure enough, we get to this point where Francis is lured out to the shore, and they ambush them, and they actually shoot one of them. I think it's Little who goes down, and Francis, of course, being noble he is, look, hey, I'll go with you, but you let my men go. Right? They go back to their camp. So that's kind of the big cliffhanger of the episode.
But they have to leave all their guns.
They have to leave all the guns. I presume more men at the main camp have guns, though. It's not like they're going to be screwed.
I'd assume so.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of the cliffhanger for the episode in terms of the main men, is that Hickey's group has now kidnapped Francis.
Yes.
For purposes that.
And that's how we leave going into the last episode.
It is, yeah. And of course, we glossed over a lot of stuff from Francis's side. Obviously, has a really touching scene with Fitzjames, who dies because he gets sick over the course of the episode, and then he's flat out sick. He's lying in the boat as they're dragging him, and it's really touching. And they burn their bodies when they leave at the back, and then they bury the ones that die on the way. There's a whole thing. There's all the death. There's just death all over the place.
And it's the moment that he has with Blanky following up on this.
But that's the one that really, because Blanky's like, hey, I'll do this, I'll lure him out. He's like, oh, that's surefire death. What are you doing? And then he pulls up his trouser leg, and you see that he's infected. His leg, his stump.
He's like, yeah, you have to cut a lot higher this time.
Yeah.
And Francis is just appalled. It's like, why didn't you say so? It's so desperate. It's like, no, I've already buried one friend today. Why are you doing this to me now?
Yeah, but he makes him laugh with his fork plan, which is why I thought it was just a joke. I didn't think he was actually.
I know, and then he's actually. Joe, I think it is just a joke. I don't think they actually intend for it to work. I think it's just him going, let's do the joke. Let's go with the forks. We don't need them.
Because obviously the very last scene is that he turns around and says, "Oh, it took you so long," as the monster's coming towards him.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, and I had fun with that stuff, and it was quite touching having Francis be really kind to Fitzjames, and them joking about how his story would take too long to tell. So, you can tell that bloody story that you always like to tell. Because remember back in like episode 1, he was complaining that Fitzjames always told this story that lasted like 30 minutes, and he looked bored during it. If you remember that scene, this was a callback to that, where he's like, hey, you can tell that stupid story that you like to tell. And so on. So there was some good stuff with there. And then the other stuff that I really liked is the other doctor figure who's been helping out. He's the one that's left by the main camp. He is like distraught after Fitzjames goes down, after like other people not surviving. He just walks out into the rocks and sort of lies down. He's lost.
He doesn't really know what he's doing. This is okay. He doesn't really have any training. He's got a basic knowledge.
Yeah, he's broken. I mean, everyone, they're all broken to various degrees. Yeah. We're at this point now where everyone's just kind of in this really delirious, depressed state. You can blame them because, hey,
because they're pretty hungry for a start and cold.
Yeah, but
I know I get very annoyed when I'm hungry and cold.
But Francis, he still has this hope. We're still going to some of us are still going to live. We're still going to do this. And when one of them dies, he's like, "No, you did very well. You did very well, son. You got as far as you did. This is don't ever like look down on this or feel bad as you go out. Like, So no, it's very touching. They really sell Francis as being like a really heartfelt captain in this
Very
episode.
compassionate.
Yeah, it's very good stuff. We should mention, of course, the scene with Lady Silence. She had her
Yeah.
own scene with another person, and basically talking about how their part of land is dried up because of all the men that are traipsing around. They've scared away all the animals, and because of that, there's no game.
There's only what's left in the sea.
Yeah,
Just
so,
the fish.
so he's not very happy. But he brings up the monster. He's like, how it's tied to you because of the ritual, and we're sending out for a shaman to sort of get things back in line. But
But
still,
he points out it's like does even when they're here, it's still your responsibility, and it will be for the rest of her life.
Yep. So no, we're really setting that stuff up. It's interesting because the monster's been kind of a non-factor.
For most of the back half of the season, I'd say.
I mean, obviously the last episode ended with like a giant attack where he ripped apart like 20 people. But still, I'm saying before
Right,
that.
but that was, the shock of it was part of that. It's been so long without it that
Yeah,
the impact of it is much harder.
absolutely. So, no, really depressing episode in that sense. Even if there's moments of hope with Francis and there's blanking those scenes, but there's this touching camaraderie where, okay, if we're all going to go out, we're going to go out with some sense of honour. And that's the thing, Goodsir really wants to have honour as he goes as well, but Hickey's stealing it from him. Hickey's actually taking it away from him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the really sad part about his story.
Yeah, and that's it. We've got one left, and we've got, good Sir Hickey and Francis all in the same place for the showdown, essentially.
Yeah, all our most prominent characters, so very interesting to see how this goes, how it ends, what happens with the monster. Does the monster die in the last episode? I could see it happening.
Maybe, but I feel like that's too easy. I feel like it probably shouldn't die. I don't thought they haven't really earned a victory over it though, have they? They've just tried to run and survive.
I don't think it necessarily will be a victory though. I mean, maybe like a sort of dying victory. Like, okay, at least we took that bastard out as well. But it feels like a climatic thing to do is have the monster finally go down in the last episode.
It does, but again, it depends what the monsters represent. In the sense that for the Eskimo people, that it's part of their culture, and they're saying, oh, all these men are trespassing and ruining it for us. Maybe we should almost be on the monster's side. It's like, no, you want them to have their land back, right? Essentially. So the monster's just trying to. It's territorial. It's protecting. It's just trying to get them out of there so that the game can return.
Yeah, maybe. But no. So I think the show really. I think it really had its stride in the back half.
Yeah.
I think it got a lot more interesting once we really got them to this desperate state. Like, it was really interesting at the start where everything has been set up, and it was good after that. It was good when they were sort of stuck in the two ships. But I think Hickey like killing the guy at the end of episode 7, like, and since then, like, this has really been these last 3 episodes have really been like really, really, really good. So.
Yeah.
So no, full points. But no, that is episode 9 of The Terror. So we'll be back next week with the finale, and we'll see how it all wraps up. But that is us. So thank you once again. If you want to let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?